A concrete truck backed up to the old Silver Creek mine, its chute aimed at the dark entrance. Jennifer Larkin watched, a satisfied smile on her face.
Finally, this death trap is sealed for good. No more reckless cavers on my watch.
Stop. There are people inside. A caving group entered this morning. They're 800 feet down.
That's absurd. You're just trying to stop a legal safety measure.
This schedule was distributed 3 days ago. You can't say you didn't know.
The concrete kept pouring, an unstoppable gray tide. Stephen stared in horror.
You're killing them. There's a schedule. It was emailed to the HOA.
I don't have to justify myself to you.
The last of the concrete smoothed over the shaft, an unbreakable gray seal. A fresh sign read, "Danger. Sealed shaft." Sirens wailed in the approach, urgent and close. Jennifer's smirk faltered. A police cruiser and a fire truck skidded to a stop. Lights flashing. Captain Maya Reyes stepped out, her expression already hardened.
Officer, 4 people entered at 7 this morning. The schedule is right here. Emailed to the HOA 3 days ago.
This is all a misunderstanding. That email was probably lost in spam. I never saw it.
The officers studied the email on Stephen's phone. The timestamp was clear. The recipient list included Jennifer Larkin.
I don't read every HOA message. Those cavers have been a nuisance for years. They probably broke in.
They had written permission, Jennifer. I own this mine. You were warned.
I need a full rescue response. 4 people trapped, unknown air supply. This is now an emergency operation.
They can't prove I knew. No one can.
The email is proof. She can't deny it now.
Stephen handed over the mine blueprints. Captain Reyes spread them on the hood of the truck, tracing a route. The clock started.
Based on the mine layout, they had roughly 18 hours of air when the seal went on. We're already 2 hours in. Every minute counts.
There's an old ventilation shaft here, narrow and unstable. It might be our only backup if the drill hits trouble.
This is absurd. I am leaving. You have no right to keep me here.
A state trooper stepped forward, blocking her path. "Ma'am, you are not free to leave until this is sorted." The drilling truck arrived with a low diesel growl, hydraulic legs pushing into the dirt.
We're putting in a comm hole first. If they hear us, we'll know they're alive.
The bit screamed through granite and concrete. After 30 tense minutes, it punched into open air. A rescue tech pressed an acoustic sensor to the hole. For a long second, only static. Then, faint voices, 4 distinct, alive.
We've got voice contact. I repeat, 4 alive underground. Start planning the extraction.
The wall clock read 10:45 a.m. They had until 1 in the morning. The race to breach the concrete was on.
This is Senator Thomas Davidson. I am here with Senator Michael Ortega and Assemblyman Paul Weaver. We need help.
Senators? No, that can't be right. My God, what have I done?
The rescue team froze. Senator Davidson's voice was unmistakable, the same one that grilled state regulators on live television.
Did he just say senators? Confirm those identities again. Over.
Senator Ortega, Assemblyman Weaver, and myself. We're on a sanctioned trip. Please hurry.
A helicopter chopped the sky overhead. Channel 9's news chopper banking low. Within minutes, news vans tore onto the dirt road.
This is a setup. Someone planned this to destroy me.
Reporters spilled out, microphones already aimed. The name Senator carried on the wind like a lit fuse.
You sealed a mine with sitting state senators inside. Nobody planned that but you.
Senator Davidson's face, lit by helmet lamps, stared upward at the borehole, waiting. The crack in the concrete suddenly felt like a chasm. A reporter from Channel 9 thrust a microphone into Jennifer's face. "Did you know trapped senators were inside when you ordered the concrete?"
This is absurd. I was enforcing safety codes. I had no idea who was inside.
But Stephen had already opened the HOA Facebook page on his phone. He held it up to the camera. Post read, "Time to shut down the death trap mine. No more reckless explorers. Join me Friday, Signed, Jennifer Larkin.
You posted this 3 weeks ago. You knew the caving schedule was posted. You didn't check because you didn't care.
That post is about community safety. It doesn't prove I knew about today. You are twisting things.
Captain Reyes watched the exchange, then ordered the heavy auger to bore into the concrete cap. But a few inches in, the bit hit a steel reinforcement. Sparks flew, and the drill jammed hard.
This cap was built with industrial reinforcement. We'll need a diamond head that will take hours.
The rescue tent clock read 11:20 a.m. The air underground was thinning with every breath. Over the rescue team's radio, a news anchor announced, "We can now confirm that Senator Davidson is the author of SB 419, a bill to dissolve all HOAs statewide."
That Bill? He was the one pushing to dissolve our HOA.
You knew about that bill. This wasn't about safety. It was about silencing him.
A rescue tech reported that the air shaft had loose rock and collapsing passages, too dangerous for a full team.
I've mapped this mine since I was a kid. I can guide a small team down the shaft.
That's a death wish. The shaft is practically crumbling.
We have 16 hours of air left. If the drill fails, they die. I am going.
You'll kill yourself for those politicians?
Stephen ignored her. He strapped on a headlamp, checked his radio, and knelt at the narrow air shaft opening. With a final glance at the clock, he descended into the darkness. A state investigator arrived, downloading Jennifer's phone data. The schedule email had been opened on Friday afternoon, twice. The timestamp read, "Opened 4:12 p.m. by Jennifer Larkin, HOA president."
That proves nothing. I open hundreds of emails. I don't read every one.
A state trooper stepped forward, reciting her Miranda warnings, and snapped handcuffs onto her wrists. At the command tent, an aide in a pressed suit arrived. He confirmed Senator Davidson was the sole sponsor of SB 419, the HOA abolition bill.
That makes this rescue a legislative battleground. We're not just saving lives, we're saving a political movement.
Underground, the trapped group's air monitor flashed a red warning. CO2 at 3,500 ppm, and rising fast.
We're holding on, but the air is getting heavy. Tell my wife I love her.
Stephen, crawling through the shaft, heard the transmission. He picked up his pace despite the crumbling rock. The command post clock read 1:45 p.m. Less than 10 hours of breathable air remained.
Captain Reyes pressed her radio. Secondary team, you have a go. Godspeed.
2 rescue climbers clipped their lines beside Stephen. Without a word, they followed him into the black opening. The air shaft compressed into a crawl space, barely wider than a man's shoulders. Rock dust coated their faces. A low rumble shook the tunnel. Loose stones rained from the ceiling, pelting their hard hats.
Stephen's voice cut through the noise. Stay left. That whole section is ready to give way.
On the surface, the diamond-tipped drill hit a seam of solid granite. Sparks flew, and the bit stalled again. News vans multiplied along the dirt road. A reporter shouted, "Sources confirm Larkin deleted the schedule email."
Senator Davidson pressed his ear to the comm. They're coming. Everyone, stay calm. Conserve oxygen.
Stephen squeezed through a gap left by a collapse decades ago. His ribs scraped raw, but he didn't slow. The rescue tent clock hit 3 p.m., 8 hours left. The drill had barely dented the cap. Everything rode on Stephen. Stephen's headlamp caught a huddle of dusty figures. He crawled into the chamber, gasping.
I am here, all 4 of you, still breathing. You came through the death trap shaft that took real courage. The main drill is close. Keep your heads down and conserve oxygen.
The air monitor beeped faster. CO2 at 4,200 ppm. Each breath was a labor.
We've got maybe 5 hours of useful air. Can they reach us in time?
A distant grinding noise vibrated through the rock. The diamond bit had finally pierced the cap. On the surface, the drill punctured the concrete with a burst of light and dust. A small hole, but a hole. Captain Reyes shouted, "Get the air hose in now." Paramedics shoved a fat hose into the borehole. The hole was barely a fist wide. The clock read 5:45 p.m. They needed at least 2 more hours to widen it. At 10:30 p.m., the borehole was wide enough. The guide emerged first, coughing but alive. Assemblyman Paul Weaver was lifted next. Then Senator Michael Ortega. Each one wrapped in silver blankets, blinking under the floodlights. Finally, Senator Thomas Davidson was hoisted up. He raised a triumphant fist against the floodlights.
We're all here, every single one of us. Thank God for Stephen Harper.
The crowd erupted. Firefighters clapped. Reporters shouted. Cameras flashed in a frenzy. In the back of a police car, Jennifer Larkin watched the senator's fist rise. Her face went slack.
He's alive. They're all alive. They'll testify.
The rescue tent clock read 10:45 p.m. 15 hours and 45 minutes since the concrete pour. Every life was saved.
All 4 rescued. Medical assessment underway. This site is now a crime scene.
The senator, still wrapped in a thermal blanket, turned to the nearest camera and spoke 2 words that would echo for weeks.
Fast track it.
He didn't need to elaborate. Senator Davidson's HOA abolition bill would go to a floor vote in days. No more committee stalls.
Stephen Harper went underground while my air ran out. I am alive because of him.
By morning, the state attorney general announced formal charges. 4 counts of attempted manslaughter, plus a federal kidnapping enhancement. Her mugshot flashed across every screen. Larkin in orange, her perfectly styled hair limp, eyes hollow and defeated. At the state capitol, Senator Davidson stood at a podium, holding a single page.
I present the Caver Protection Act. This will make it a felony to seal any known cave without state clearance.
The bill moved to committee the same day, with bipartisan co-sponsors lining up to support it.
If that passes, every HOA is dead. He's going to destroy everything I built forever.
But the real fight was just beginning in the courts and on the legislative floor. 3 days after her arrest, Jennifer Larkin stood before a judge in an orange jumpsuit. The courtroom was packed with cameras and the families of the trapped cavers. The prosecutor detailed the charges: 4 counts of attempted manslaughter, federal kidnapping, and reckless endangerment. Jennifer's lawyer entered a not guilty plea. The judge denied bail. Defendant is a flight risk and a danger to the community. Remanded without bail pending trial.
I leased the mine to a state-sanctioned caving club. Every trip is scheduled in advance. The HOA received this email 3 days before. Jennifer Larkin didn't just ignore the schedule, she deleted it from her inbox to hide her negligence. The digital forensics prove it.
From the courtroom, Stephen went straight to the state capitol. The Natural Resources Committee had called an emergency hearing on the Caver Protection Act.
Private property owners need this protection. Without it, any HOA president with a grudge can turn a recreational asset into a death trap. I was 800 feet below. If the concrete had cured 10 minutes faster, I wouldn't be here. This bill saves lives. Pass it.
The committee voted 11-0 to advance the bill. It would go to the full legislature within the week. From her holding cell, Jennifer watched the vote on a small monitor. Her knuckles turned white against the metal bunk. A local news investigation uncovered Jennifer Larkin's history: 6 foreclosures, dozens of fines, and a string of lawsuits against homeowners. A neighbor broke down on camera. She foreclosed on my house over a $200 fence paint violation. We lost everything. The story went viral. Protesters appeared outside the Capitol with signs reading "Abolish HOAs now." Inside, the HOA lobbyists flooded the Senate, but Senator Davidson was ready.
You represent an industry that enabled a woman who tried to kill state senators. You have no ground to stand on.
The lobbyists fell silent. The Senate Majority Leader called for a vote in 48 hours. From the gallery, Stephen watched the confrontation. A rare, grim smile crossed his face. In her cell, Jennifer watched the senator's confrontation on the same small monitor. Her face contorted with helpless rage. The Senate vote was scheduled for Friday. The outcome was uncertain, but the momentum was a freight train.
Friday, we vote. And I promise you, the days of HOA tyrants are numbered.
Jennifer Larkin's lawyer filed an emergency motion, demanding Stephen Harper's entire property history be unsealed, alleging he knew the mine was unsafe and allowed the trip anyway.
They're trying to bury me in subpoenas, so the bill fails. I can't let that happen. If I fight this, the vote gets delayed. If I go public, they'll twist everything I've ever done. I'll do the interview. Every question. Show them I've got nothing to hide.
That night, Stephen sat under studio lights and admitted past lapses, a missed inspection, an old fine, but laid out the truth. The mine was legal, the schedule was sent, and Jennifer knew. By morning, the clip went viral. 3 million views. Protesters outside the Capitol swelled to thousands, their chants reaching the senators inside.
That man laid his whole life bare, so this body would see the truth. Don't let his honesty be for nothing.
From her cell, Jennifer watched the rally on the news, her face a mask of bitterness. She knew she'd lost the public forever. On the morning of the vote, Stephen received a handwritten threat. If the HOA dies, so do you. He didn't flinch. He drove to the Capitol alone. The Senate chamber darkened as the electronic roll call began. Every senator's vote would now be public, and the whole state watched. The Senate Majority Leader called the first name. Senator Adams. Aye. The tally edged upward on the electronic board. Then Senator Warren rose from his seat. Madam President, I have a point of order. The chamber fell silent. I cannot vote for this bill until Stephen Harper answers for his own negligence. If he endangered cavers, does he deserve to be their champion? The chamber murmured. Senator Davidson's jaw tightened. This was the same smear Jennifer's lawyer had launched.
I'll answer. Right here, right now.
The Senate president granted permission. Stephen descended to the floor, feeling the weight of every camera.
I made mistakes. I missed an inspection once. I paid a fine. But I've never ever put lives at risk.
Senator Warren studied Stephen's face, saw the grief there. He withdrew his objection. I am satisfied. The vote resumed. 2 more. Ayes. The tally stood at 23 to 21. 6 senators remained. The margin was razor thin. Senator Davidson's eyes met Stephen's. The whole chamber held its breath. The next 4 votes came in rapid succession. Green, red, the electronic board flickered 24 to 24. A tie. The last senator, an elderly man from a rural district, rose slowly. He stared at the board, then at Stephen in the gallery.
Think of the 4 men who nearly suffocated. Think of the families you'd be protecting.
The senator pressed the green button. The board flashed aye 25, nay 24. The chamber erupted. The HOA abolition bill had passed. But in the gallery, Stephen's phone buzzed. An unknown number. He opened the text message. You won today. But we know where you live. Sleep with one eye open.
They're not going to scare me off. Not after everything.
Stephen descended to the Senate floor after the session. Senator Davidson grabbed his shoulder, his own face tense.
You need protection. I can arrange a safe house, armed guards. But if you stay visible, you are a target. I've been a target since the day Jennifer sealed that shaft. I am not hiding now.
At Jennifer Larkin's trial, the state called Senator Davidson to the stand. He described the moment his life nearly ended 800 feet below.
I was suffocating while she deleted the evidence. That wasn't negligence. That was intent.
He's painting me as evil. My own lawyer can barely meet my eyes.
That night, Stephen walked his property line under a half moon. His dogs growled at a shadow near the new visitor center.
Who's out there?
A figure bolted into the trees. Stephen found a gas can and a half-burned rag at his back door. Someone had tried to torch his home.
I am staying. I'll put up cameras and a gate, but I won't be scared off.
The next day, the Caver Protection Act passed the House 48-0. The governor vowed to sign it within the week.
Any attack on Stephen Harper is an attack on the state. This law was born from his courage.
From her cell, Jennifer watched the press conference. A news ticker read, "Larkin trial. Jury selection begins Monday." Her face crumpled. After 2 weeks of evidence, the jury returned in under 3 hours. Jennifer Larkin's face went white as the foreperson stood. Guilty on 4 counts of attempted manslaughter. Guilty on federal kidnapping. Guilty on reckless endangerment. The gavel fell like a hammer.
My life is over. Everything I built, every rule I enforced, gone.
3 days later, at the state capitol, the governor signed the HOA abolition bill into law. It passed the House unanimously, 48-0. Across the state, HOA rulebooks were dumped into recycling bins. The day of the HOA was dead. That same afternoon, the Caver Protection Act was signed with Stephen Harper, standing beside the governor.
You did it, Stephen. You saved our lives and you saved our state from the HOA plague. No, we did it. And now, this mine is protected for good.
The next day's newspaper front page, Jennifer Larkin sentenced to 30 years. The Caver Protection Act article ran beside it. Stephen folded the paper, gazed at the mine he'd saved, and allowed himself a quiet, unburdened breath. 1 month after the verdict, Silver Creek Mine reopened as a protected heritage site. School buses lined the new parking lot. Stephen watched from the visitor center porch, a rare smile on his face. As a guide led a group of children toward the sealed shaft, Senator Davidson arrived. No cameras, in jeans and a polo. He shook Stephen's hand firmly, his eyes glistening.
You turned a death trap into a classroom. This is what protection looks like. My grandfather always said the mine could teach something. I just never thought it would be this.
The memorial plaque bore 4 names, a date, and a single line. Protected by the Caver Protection Act.
This used to be a grave. Now it's a reminder.
From his hill, he watched a new group of cavers, properly equipped and permitted, descend into the mine for the first time since the rescue. The sun set behind the ridge, painting the mine entrance in gold. For the first time in months, everything was as it should be. Stephen let out a long, slow breath. The nightmare was over, but the lesson would live on. The old mine now drew a steady stream of visitors. Families, geology students, former cavers paying respect. A young girl tugged Stephen's sleeve. "Were you really down there when the bad lady sealed it?"
I wasn't trapped, but I went in after them. Sometimes you have to go into the dark to bring people back to the light.
The girl nodded, eyes wide, then ran to join her class. Stephen watched, his chest full. He walked to the memorial plaque alone. The 4 names shone in the afternoon sun.
Grandpa, I hope I made you proud. I didn't let them take what was ours.
A drone shot captured the mine from above. The parking lot, the visitor center, the old shaft entrance, all part of a state heritage trail. Later that year, a documentary titled Cave In, the HOA That Went Too Far, premiered. The closing image was Stephen Harper standing over the shaft.
He never asked for fame. He just wanted to protect his land and the people who loved exploring it. The state owes him a debt.
And on a ridge, under the same setting sun, Stephen closed his eyes, listening to the wind echo through the valley that was finally, completely his. The next morning, the sun rose over Silver Creek Mine. A family placed flowers at the memorial plaque. The father shook Stephen's hand warmly. "Thank you for not giving up."
I didn't do it alone. Grandpa's note kept me going.
He still kept it folded in his wallet. "Don't let the bastards take what's yours." The mine was his again, but more than that, it was safe. Protected by law, open to all. From the ridge, he watched a new busload of students arrive, their excited chatter rising to the sky. The sun climbed higher, lighting the old timbers of the mine entrance. Some ghosts were finally at rest. The plaque remained. 4 names, a date, and the promise that no one would ever seal a shaft in ignorance again.
We won. Not just me, but everyone who believes in fair land use.
And, as the valley filled with light, Stephen Harper walked into the morning, carrying his grandfather's note and a hard-won peace. Night settled over Silver Creek Mine. The visitor center lights glowed softly against the dark ridge. Stephen Harper sat on his porch, the old note unfolded on his knee, its edges worn soft.
We did it, Grandpa. It's ours again, and it's safe for good.
The memorial plaque caught the light of a rising moon, the 4 names crisp and permanent. Inside the mine, the borehole that saved lives remained sealed, a permanent mark of the near tragedy. The Caver Protection Act and HOA abolition were now the law of the state, and the law held. Stephen placed the note back in his wallet and stood, looking out over the dark valley.
It was never just about the mine. It was about how we treat each other's ground.
The wind carried the scent of pine, and a distant dog barked once before settling into stillness. And for the first time in a long while, the night was simply still.